Shedeur Sanders jersey sales. And when asked about it, just a harmless little question about the fact that a rookie backup quarterback's jersey is currently outselling most of the league starters. Stefanski, clamped up, stone-faced, expressionless, total shutdown, like someone had just asked him to explain quantum physics at midfield. And let's be honest, this wasn't some wild gotcha journalism. The reporter wasn't throwing flames. They asked about something very real, something very obvious, something fans have been talking about for weeks. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Because the reality is this. Shedeur Sanders is the most buzzed-about player on the Browns roster, and that's without playing a single meaningful down. But Stefanski, not having it. "We're focused on the game this week," he mumbled. "We're preparing for a tough opponent. That's where our attention is." Sure, Kev, totally. But here's the thing. It's never just about the game. Because if it were just about the game, Sanders' name wouldn't be on every fan's jersey. If it were just about the game, you wouldn't be fielding questions about a player who's still technically QB2, or possibly QB3 depending on which rumor mill you believe this week. But that's the issue, right? The Browns are trying to pretend like there's no elephant in the room. Like there isn't a 21-year-old quarterback with a legendary last name, national attention, and a fan base ready to riot every time Joe Flacco jogs onto the field for another 3 and out. The media knows it. The fans know it. The locker room definitely knows it. But Stefanski? He's out here dodging questions like it's a postseason press conference, and he's hiding injuries. Let's break this down. Because this isn't just a coach brushing off hype. This is a tactical move, a calculated decision to avoid even acknowledging the storm that's clearly brewing around Shedeur Sanders. And in doing so, Stefanski didn't just dismiss the jersey sales. He dismissed the entire conversation about Sanders' place in the team's future. And that silence, it says everything. See, when a player starts moving jerseys like Shedeur's, you'd normally expect a coach to say something safe and positive. It's great to see our fans excited. Shedeur is a great young player with a bright future. We love the energy he brings to the team. But Stefanski gave us nothing. And that's the part that should worry Browns fans. Not because Stefanski is hiding something sinister, but because it shows just how uncomfortable the front office is with the entire narrative surrounding Sanders. They're trying to suffocate the buzz, as if ignoring it will make it go away. Newsflash, it won't. Because when your backup quarterback is outselling your starting quarterback, people notice. When every national sports outlet is talking about Sanders, without him even playing a snap, people start asking questions. And when your head coach won't even touch a softball question about jersey sales, now you've got a story. So let's talk about what's really going on here. This isn't about retail. It's about control. Shedeur Sanders is, in many ways, the perfect storm of what old-school NFL coaches hate. He's talented, he's confident, he's visible, and worst of all, he didn't have to wait 5 years on a depth chart to become a household name. He showed up with the eyes of the football world already watching. And for a franchise like Cleveland, one that prides itself on grit, grind, and earning your stripes, that's terrifying. So instead of embracing the energy around Shedeur, they're suppressing it. They're shutting it down. They're trying to spin this narrative that he's developing quietly, while doing everything they can to keep the spotlight away from him. But here's the problem. The spotlight's already there. And refusing to even comment on it, that's not strategic. That's tone deaf. Because fans aren't stupid. They can feel the tension. They know when a team is being honest. And they really know when a team is being shady. And right now, Browns fans feel like they're being gaslit. They're watching Joe Flacco struggle to connect with receivers, watching Shedeur Sanders go viral for literally doing nothing, and now watching their head coach refuse to acknowledge reality. It's not just frustrating, it's insulting. Let's also talk about what that silence says to Sanders himself. Because you better believe he's watching these interviews. You better believe he heard Stefanski dodge that question and made a mental note. Imagine being a rookie, working your tail off in practice, staying ready, keeping your head down, and your coach won't even say your name in a positive retail context. Not even a "we're proud of him." Not even a "he's doing great work behind the scenes." Just nothing. At best, it's cold. At worst, it's a quiet rejection, a subtle way of saying, "We're not ready for your moment yet." And that's how you lose players. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, culturally. You isolate them. You downplay them. You reduce them to a distraction when really they're your best chance at turning the season around. Let's not forget, Shedeur didn't ask to be a celebrity. The NFL made him one. The name, the pedigree, the play style, the poise, all adds up. And the Browns, they had a chance to own that narrative, to say, yes, we got something special here. Instead, they slammed the brakes. They shut it down. And that's where the fear creeps in. Because if this continues, if Stefanski and the Browns front office keep burying Sanders behind closed-door coaching language and game-to-game decisions, they're going to lose more than a rookie QB's trust. They're going to lose the city. You think fans in Cleveland are going to sit back and watch Joe Flacco plod around while the most exciting name on the team gets silenced? You think the dog pound is going to quietly tolerate discipline and preparation platitudes while the team wastes another year? No way. The city is hungry. The fan base is angry, and the clock is ticking. Stefanski's silence might have worked for a week, maybe two, but the minute the offense stalls again, the minute Flacco underthrows one more seam route, that media silence is going to explode. And Stefanski, he's going to have to answer, because at some point, no matter how much you avoid the question comes for you. So Browns fans, what do you think? Was Stefanski's refusal to speak about Shedeur just cautious coaching? Or are we watching the beginning of a full-blown quarterback Cold War? Drop your comments below and let's talk about it. And don't forget to subscribe, because in Cleveland, this drama isn't just football. It's the franchise. Oh, you thought that press conference moment was just a minor coaching quirk? Nah, that silence from Kevin Stefanski wasn't just a no comment about jersey sales. It was a carefully staged act in what's clearly becoming an NFL political drama disguised as game prep. And the star quarterback with 0 starts and maximum buzz? He's right at the center of it, whether the team likes it or not. Let's be very clear here. Stefanski not acknowledging Shedeur Sanders isn't neutral. It's a statement. A subtle, corporate, cold-blooded one, but a statement nonetheless. And if you peel back the layers, you start to see the deeper game. The uncomfortable truth that this team, not just the coaching staff, but the entire Browns infrastructure, might be intentionally stalling Sanders' rise. Not because he's not ready, not because of his skill set, but because he represents something they can't control. Let's talk about control. NFL franchises, especially historically dysfunctional ones, cough Cleveland cough, hate when the narrative escapes their hands. When someone, especially a player, starts gaining more traction, more public goodwill, more emotional investment from the fan base and the organization itself, alarms start going off behind closed doors. And right now, Shedeur Sanders has become more than a player. He's a brand. He's a symbol. He's a phenomenon they didn't create and can't fully contain. That's why Stefanski didn't answer the jersey question. Because if he says anything, if he acknowledges the sales, the fan love, the rising media wave, he legitimizes it. He fuels it. He opens the door. And right now, the Browns want that door locked. Not cracked. Not ajar. Locked. Why? Because this franchise, with its long-standing obsession with earned respect and locker room culture, doesn't know how to handle inherited spotlight. They don't know how to manage a player who shows up already louder than the team's entire identity. And Shedeur? He didn't ask to be the center of attention. He just is. So what does the franchise do? They pretend it's not happening. They hold tight to the script. They keep trotting out 40-year-old Joe Flacco like he's a battle-tested war general who's seen things we wouldn't understand, instead of a quarterback who hasn't had a relevant playoff moment since Drake was dropping "nothing was the same." But here's the thing. They're not just silencing Sanders publicly. The signs are showing internally, too. You talk to insiders, beat reporters, people who are just close enough to smell the cafeteria, but not close enough to get fined by the league. And they're all saying the same thing. Shedeur isn't being treated like a future face of the franchise. He's being treated like a liability. Not because of anything he's done, but because of who he is. The fame, the last name, the pressure it brings. And that's fear-based leadership. You don't manage greatness by burying it under game plans and bland pressers. You manage it by stepping up, embracing it, protecting it without hiding it. But the Browns aren't doing that. They're deflecting. Every time Shedeur's name comes up, it's met with a focus on Baltimore, or he's developing well, or it's about team, not individuals. Cool. Totally get it. Team-first culture, yada yada. But you know what else is part of building a winning team? Identifying your future and actually investing in it. With reps, with mentorship, with trust. And let's not ignore what else Stefanski was asked during that interview. Multiple reporters, tried to steer the conversation toward long-term planning, offensive identity, even the depth chart. And every time, stonewalled, redirected. Coach speaks soup served cold. Not a single mention of Sanders' progress. Not a single nod to his impact off the field. Not even a basic acknowledgement of the most obvious, unavoidable media story surrounding this franchise. That's not just cautious. That's calculated. And honestly, it's insulting to the fans of Shedeur and to the future of this team. Because what happens next? Let's fast forward a few weeks. Let's say the Browns drop another game, maybe two. The offense still looks flat. The quarterback play is passable at best. And Shedeur? Still invisible in the official game plan. Still being talked about like a redshirt freshman who just arrived last week. You really think that fan base is going to stay quiet? You really think national media is going to keep pretending they don't see what's happening? Nah, the pressure's already simmering. One more loss, and it's going full boil. And let's not act like the players are oblivious, either. Locker rooms aren't dumb. They know who's getting attention. They know when a guy's got the it factor. And more importantly, they know when someone's getting pushed down for reasons that aren't about football. And that kind of energy, it spreads. You create factions, divides, whispers. You risk the exact culture disruption that the staff is supposedly trying to avoid. So instead of just being honest, of saying, yeah, Shedeur's talented, we're working on when to unleash him, the Browns are trying to pretend the storm isn't coming. But it is. Because you can only keep the spotlight turned off for so long. Eventually, it finds its target. And in this case, that target's last name is Sanders. Now, let's talk about what should have happened during that interview. Imagine if Stefanski had just leaned in just a little. The fans are excited about Shedeur. We love that energy. He's a special player. His time is coming. We're glad people see the talent we saw. That's it. One simple quote. And the narrative is neutralized. The fans feel heard. Shedeur feels seen. The media doesn't have to speculate about internal tension. But by saying nothing, by deliberately avoiding even a mention of a rising rookie who's got every camera in the country tracking his movements, that's not silence. That's smoke. And where there's smoke, there's usually a dumpster fire on the verge of ignition. Let's bottom line this. The Browns are in a crucial moment. This season still has potential. The roster isn't hopeless. The defense is capable. The coaching isn't completely off the rails yet. But the quarterback room is a slow-building crisis. And the refusal to engage with the reality of Shedeur's momentum isn't just cowardice. It's organizational malpractice. If you have a star in the making, you don't ice him out. You don't pretend the fans are just imagining things. You certainly don't act like his popularity is some weird off-field inconvenience. You celebrate it. You manage it. You plan for it. And if you're smart, you prepare to unleash it. Because one way or another, the fans will get what they want, whether that's Shedeur Sanders on the field or Stefanski out of the building. You choose Cleveland, but the clock is ticking. If you thought Kevin Stefanski's refusal to comment on Shedeur Sanders' jersey sales was just a blip in a busy media week, you're missing what's actually happening here. This isn't just a coach being focused on the game. This is the Browns brass drawing a line in the sand. And the message is loud and clear. We're not playing into the hype. Now, that sounds noble on paper, right? Ignore the media frenzy. Stay locked in, block out distractions. But here's the issue. Shedeur Sanders isn't a distraction. He's a mirror. And the Browns, they hate what they're seeing. Because Shedeur's presence has done something that nobody on this roster, not even Myles Garrett, has been able to do. He's exposed a narrative disconnect between the team's public image and its internal culture. 1 foot in the future, 1 foot stuck in the past. Let's unpack that. The Browns say they want to be a modern, forward-thinking organization. Analytics-driven, youth-focused, adaptable. But when a player like Shedeur enters the picture, young, confident, highly marketable, already a national name, they freeze. Why? Because it's one thing to say you want the future. It's another thing to hand it the ball. And Shedeur, he's not just the future. He's a walking challenge to the franchise's control. And you better believe the silence from Stefanski is part of a larger effort to reassert that control. It's the football version of stay in your place. But here's where it starts to backfire. See, when Stefanski sidestepped that jersey question, it wasn't just about protecting Shedeur. It was about protecting the team's hierarchy. The carefully curated pecking order they believe keeps everything in check. You've got veterans. You've got scheme guys. You've got locker room leaders who earned it. And then you've got Shedeur, who didn't ask for the hype, but brought it with him anyway. To the Browns' old-school thinkers, that's dangerous. Because suddenly, a player who hasn't started a game is the most talked-about name in the building. He's the one kids are wearing on Sundays. He's a guy getting interview requests, social media love, national pundit praise, without even touching the field. That kind of visibility, it terrifies coaches who pride themselves on meritocracy. But let's stop pretending the NFL has ever been purely merit-based. If it were, half the league's quarterbacks wouldn't be backup-tier placeholders holding down jobs for PR purposes. If it were, half the young talent buried on depth charts would have already gotten chances by now. If it were, Joe Flacco wouldn't be taking snaps in 2025. So what is it really? It's ego. It's fear. It's control. And in Cleveland, it's coming to a head. Because you can feel it. That slow, boiling tension between what fans are seeing and what the franchise is saying. The disconnect is getting wider. The patience is wearing thin. You don't ignore jersey sales like this unless you're actively trying to minimize someone's presence. And honestly, that might be the most short-sighted move of all. Because jersey sales don't lie. They're data points. And the data says fans believe in Shedeur. Fans want him on the field. Fans see him, not Flacco, not the system, as a potential lifeline to something more than another 9-8 season and a forgettable wild card exit. So, let's get a little dramatic. Let's paint the picture Stefanski and the Browns won't. Imagine Shedeur gets a real shot. Imagine he starts. The offense moves. The stadium comes alive. Suddenly, the team doesn't feel stuck in neutral anymore. There's juice. There's unpredictability. There's hope. And what if it works? What if Shedeur actually delivers? Now you've got a quarterback with charisma, leadership, brand power, and performance, all in one package. Now you're building something real. But that possibility scares the hell out of teams like Cleveland. Because success like that, unplanned, unstructured success, doesn't fit into their spreadsheets. It doesn't fit the protocol. It doesn't come from the coaching tree. It doesn't follow the script they've spent years crafting. It just happens. And for control-obsessed franchises, that kind of chaos, no matter how good it is unacceptable. So instead of embracing the momentum, they suppress it. Instead of amplifying the buzz, they try to bury it beneath "we're focused on the Ravens." Instead of riding the wave, they paddle in circles. That's why Stefanski's silence was so revealing. Not because of what he said, but because of what he didn't. A simple question about jersey sales became a window into a team that still doesn't know how to handle its own future. Now let's flip it. What happens if they keep this up? Let's say the Browns lose to the Ravens in ugly fashion. Let's say Flacco throws for 179 yards and a pick. Let's say the offense stalls out again, the fans boo, and the national media starts circling like vultures. And Shedeur? Still benched. Still silent. Still trending. You're telling me that's a sustainable situation? You're telling me the locker room won't fracture, when half the team starts wondering why the kid with the spark is still getting scout reps while the offense crumbles? You're telling me the fans won't start counting the days until Stefanski's exit interview? Because once the core of public opinion turns on you in the NFL, it turns fast. And right now, the Browns are walking a very thin line. They either take control of this narrative now by being transparent, by acknowledging Shedeur's rise, by giving him a plan with a timeline, or they risk the entire story spinning out of their hands. And let's be real, that's already happening. You think this is the last time a reporter asks about jersey sales? About fan demand? About whether Shedeur is being iced out? Nope. This is the start of a drumbeat. And every week he's not playing, that drum gets louder. So Stefanski can pretend it's about the team. He can duck the questions, shift the spotlight, keep repeating Ravens, Ravens, Ravens like a mantra. But sooner or later, he's going to run out of ways to dodge what everyone's already shouting from the stands. Start the kid. If you don't, you're not just risking a few bad headlines. You're risking a full-blown quarterback controversy that you created by refusing to acknowledge reality. And that's not just bad PR. That's a failure of leadership. So, yeah, coach, we saw the interview. We saw the silence. We saw the avoidance. And guess what? We're not buying it. Because when you've got a rising star on your bench, and your fans are begging for something new, and your team is spinning its wheels on offense, and your head coach can't even say his name, that's not strategy. That's fear, disguised as discipline. And in this league, fear gets you fired. Let us know what you think, Browns fans. Was Stefanski's silence about Sanders calculated or just cowardly? Are the Browns protecting their future or too scared to face it? Hit the comments. And if you're not already subscribed, now's the time. Because this quarterback drama, it's not going away. Not until Shedeur steps on the field. And maybe not even after that.